World USA. I'm here with Nancy from Comcast. Hi Nancy, thank you for taking your time to do the interview with me. Could you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your professional background?
Sure, I'm Nancy Davoust. I work for Comcast, and I have to tell you, working for Comcast is super cool. We get to work on all kinds of technologies. I've worked on video, set-top boxes, voice over IP, wireless, Wi-Fi, all sorts of things, right? So I've done security on all of those, and I've also done just total architecture on some of the projects as well. So it's been a lot of fun.
What are some of the security strategies you're working on at Comcast?
You know, some of the strategies really are taking a look at how mature and robust our security is and trying to make sure we build that in as a quality attribute. So trying to make sure we move forward with new programs and new plans, having all our development teams really taking a look at every layer, from network layer to application layer to user experience to administrator experience, and building security in.
What do you think will be one of the major threats in the upcoming years, and what should companies consider to prevent that from happening?
That's a really fantastic question. There's going to be a lot of things happening in the upcoming years, but of course IoT is a huge attack vector. Mirai obviously started it in 2016, and we're just going to see more and more of that happening with medical devices, self-driving cars, water meters, agricultural water meters, all sorts of things coming online. There's many more attack surfaces, and then many more ways to connect into the internet to cause havoc.
Okay. What do you consider to be the biggest obstacles for adopting security processes and technology?
Yeah, some of the biggest obstacles for adopting security, you know, people always talk about price, right, and cost, right? What's the real cost to implementing security? But the way we really need to look at it is security is a quality attribute, again. You know, and also some of the other big impediments is that the people who create things aren't necessarily the ones who end up using them, or and what I mean by that is devices that end up in consumers' hands. If you sell a device that ends up in a consumer's hands, the challenge is you don't necessarily have a service agreement with them, and so the challenge is you may not feel like you're responsible for making sure it's secure and updated, but you really are, right? And we need manufacturers to step up with whatever they put on the internet, whether it's an internet-facing toaster or, you know, an iPhone, right? Everybody needs to step up and make sure they have the right level of security in order to protect people's privacy, as well as to just protect the device and the internet and the service in general.
You'll be presenting a Challenge Your Peers session later today based on trustworthiness and the Internet of Things. Can you give us an insight into what you're planning to talk about?
Sure. You know, trustworthiness is a huge undertaking, right? Because when you look at the different layers, especially with the NIST 15201 standard, right? It talks about security, it talks about privacy, it talks about resilience, it talks about safety, and it talks about, now I'm forgetting the fifth one, but there's a lot of things to undertake, right? It's not just about security. But part of the challenge is trying to not only get that, but get that through the entire supply chain, right? Get that through all the network services and get that into all the software and hardware as well.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to for the rest of the event?
Oh, this is going to be such a fun event. There are so many things that we need to talk to each other about, like how do we make it more secure? How do we make it more private? How do we make the control planes to manage these devices a lot easier and more accessible for the people who are actually configuring these in our service system? So there's a lot of things to talk about.
Okay, well, thanks for answering our questions and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you.
Thank you.